Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Shareece, and I help Black men and women heal from trauma and toxic relationships. And today I want to talk about Cardi B, her personal life, but also some overarching themes in society with women, women who give birth, how we treat children, eugenics a little bit. I do a lot of these videos on women who love too much. Cardi B is a woman who loves too much. You can go and check out some of my other videos in that playlist about how to heal from toxic relationships. Cardi B was in a very toxic, abusive relationship with Offset for over 7 years, and they have seven children. 7 years, but they have 3 children together. Offset has children from previous relationships or situationships. Who knows? I think it's important to contextualize how poor of a husband he was, and how poor of a father he is, considering there is absolutely no way that he can meet the emotional and attention needs of all these children that are being separated from so many places. And then considering that he's not even been in the same state as the kids, I think it's fair to say he is not a good father, right? Probably not a good man. Often these discussions I do on this channel are not about men. Not that I think men are a lost cause, because I do work with men and I encourage men to do their own healing work. But women are the ones that are at the forefront of the healing work, primarily because they're inspired by their children to get better and to want more. Cardi B, and you may have seen my video I did on Cardi B and Crissle over on my TikTok. I'm Dr. Shareece over there too, and there's a link in the description box. But the conversation around mothers and women, the ones who stay and get the brunt of the criticism for parenting or the decisions they make, is rooted in misogyny. It really is. At the end of the day, everything in America really boils down to capitalism and patriarchy, like the hate of women, the subjugation of women. And so women will always be the ones to be blamed for anything that happens. It's something that I think is with every decade getting a little better, right? Women have gotten more rights, but at the same time, right? I just did a video, one of my videos just went live about women dating multiple men. And the first negative comment from a man was, men don't want to marry whores. What? Boy, what? But that is often the framework. It's like good women, bad women, when we are so much more complex than that. The point I made in my video that you may have seen, right, with the Crissle topic was women are going to make poor decisions. And then what, right? You can shame a woman for a decision. You can give her the education beforehand. By the end of the day, if a woman makes a poor decision, then what? Are you going to leave her to fend for herself? Are you going to support her? That was really the point of my conversation around the topic, because Crissle really just engaged in a lot of shaming and derogatory name calling, all that kind of stuff. I also mentioned how, I do agree that it's really kind of dumb to make the sorts of decisions that Cardi B has made. Honestly, not just around motherhood. I think we've seen it documented time and time again that Cardi B has made a lot of dumb, like less than smart decisions. So people were asking like, well, she's 32. How is her deciding she wants to have a 4th child dumb? And this is where the topic of women who love too much comes in, because having a baby by a man you don't know that well, because I don't really care how much time y'all have spent together, knowing someone for a year and a half, you really don't know them that well. Doing that with a man who also has allegations of assaulting a man sexually, and 2 allegedly children that was born recently or are being born very soon. What point does it really make to bring a child into the chaos of getting divorced and not knowing a man well who might just be the same kind of man as Offset? I think it's fair to acknowledge the truth. It's a bad decision really for Cardi B to be having a baby at this time. But like in my video, I made a comparison between me having a baby when I was 18. Not the best decision, but here we are. Now what? What are we going to do with this baby now? We're going to love on the baby, be kind to the baby, be loving towards the mother, be supportive towards the mother. I don't absolve women of accountability. In fact, I think I've gotten the opposites, right? Responses on my channel when I encourage people and selves to hold women accountable for the involvement. Cardi B is actively involved in adding chaos to the lives of her children. And even though, she can say that she's a good mom, kids can feel when their parents are stressed. Kids are very aware that dad is not here, that you all are arguing or whatever it is that's happening. Like there's a lot of distress in the home, and that does affect children. I don't think it's the best, but I'm not here to tell Cardi B what she should be doing with her body. And I do think it's helpful to have the conversation about, hey, Here, let's educate you on birth control. Let's educate you on like signs of a good man with good character. Let's educate you on child development and what really is affecting your kids. Let's educate you on how to regulate your emotions. And then specifically for me, helping women get out of denial and out of the cycle of toxic relationships and abuse. It is very hard. So many things. I'm a psychologist. Like, I work with people who are having a hard time, like not feeling anxious, not being able to do what they want to do. There are people with like severe mental health problems. Like, making any sort of change in your life is very hard. So even though on one hand I do hold women accountable, I say, you played a role in this too. You're playing an active role in this craziness too. And you deserve grace and love and kindness. So the book Women Who Love Too Much, first is about getting out of denial. And I think Cardi B is still in denial. She's talking about how Stefon Diggs is a man that makes her feel safe. I would say the same thing like about Diddy. You think Carisha really feels safe? I think she thinks she feels safe. And I think that's where the discernment comes in. I think she just wasn't with Diddy long enough for him to abuse her in the same way that he abused other women. Same thing for Cardi B. You haven't been with this guy long enough to really see who he is. And this illusion of safety or emotional well-being, like, you can't regulate your own self when you're frustrated or when people say or do things you don't like. I expect you to attract a man that's on the same wavelength as you, and the same wavelength, it seems, as what Offset is. He's just slinging it all around the place. And a man with poor dick discipline, I think, is poorly disciplined in other areas of his life. He may be doing one well. Usually people are doing work very, very well, right? Cardi B is very rich and doing very well with her career, but at what cost to your well-being and your emotional well-being? In Cardi B's response to Crissle, she did mention, I think people had expectations of me, and I think people wanted me to, be single for a while. And the way she's framing it as if it's like not a positive thing, like not something that really would have worked in her best interest. I would have respected it more if Cardi B said, "This video is sponsored by me. Check out my website, spiritsoulsense.com, for a couple of free downloads. I also have my poetry ebook for sale, and you can also purchase my artwork and merch to help support my channel." I know it was dumb. I know I made a mistake, but I don't believe in abortion or whatever it is. I wish she was more because she's so open, but at the same time, she hides a lot. I wish she was more forthcoming about her perspective. If she wants to continue being this public figure that shares so much of her life, like, be transparent. I mean, people can keep certain things to themselves, but I just feel like it's not helpful to you, Cardi B, to acknowledge that what you're doing is like, oh, well. Oh, well, right. I'm not saying, oh, well, I'm saying what's next. Like, what are you actively doing that's going to benefit you and your family in the long term? I fear it's just going to be more of the same for Cardi B. That next year she is going to be screaming and ranting about how Stefon Diggs cheated on her or did her wrong or hurt her, because he's going to be who he is, and she's going to find out the real him in time. It's unfortunate, but it's the reality. At any point in this cycle, a woman can break free. In the book Women Who Love Too Much, there are like 10 steps that tell you what it is that you need to be doing. And a lot of it is focusing on yourself. Cardi B was online arguing with JT about Stefon Diggs. She continues to fight the fights of men that she is with. She doesn't need to be speaking up for him when she was not there, when he allegedly assaulted someone sexually. I think she really just needs to focus on what her actual problems are and not attaching herself to men that distract her from her own problems and healing from whatever trauma and whatever past things, childhood things. I don't know. I know that there's a lot going on, because if you look at her life, you can see, oh my gosh, this is like decision after decision. It's crazy. And there are different ways that she will have to think about herself and different decisions that she will have to make if she wants her life to be more peaceful. But a lot of people don't want a peaceful life. They want a familiar life. They want the devil that they know. And lots of people leave Earth School without ever learning the lesson. I am rooting for Cardi B, but like, I'm really not that invested in what she decides to do with her life. Like, I have a real life. I'm here to teach the people. But if Cardi B gets pregnant again by another man, or if, she's ranting and raving, or she continues to live in chaos for the rest of her days, that will be her reality. There's nothing I can do about it. I hope that you can be inspired by like what's going on and make different, like, more loving decisions towards yourself and others in your real life. Okay, I just want to touch on the respectability of it. Some people I saw were talking about how they don't see anything wrong with what Crissle had to say versus it explaining that it was just harsh, right? She was just saying the truth, but it was just harsh. And it took me a while and a couple other videos to connect why I had a problem with what Crissle had to say. That even though, yes, I agree, it's a dumb decision to have a baby right now for this specific person, the way it was said was wrapped up in misogyny and a lot of critique about what Black women, Black adjacent women, women of color do with their bodies, and how it's really just a jump and a skip to eugenics, that only certain people should have babies at certain times when they've reached a certain level of status or wealth, or they only have certain characteristics. I think it's dangerous territory when we start saying that people shouldn't do what they want with their body. That we do need to encourage people to have agency, because even though, I worked in homes and I specialize in childhood trauma, I know what it's like firsthand to see a child physically abused, sexually abused, neglected. But I would not say, I think the solution to this would be to sterilize these poor moms. I think that might be more helpful. No, I don't think that's the answer. I think we have that, how muddy that gets. You see what's happening like with the immigrants, like only certain kind of immigrants should be allowed, and how that just trickles down to all sorts of people who didn't expect to be caught up in being rejected from this country. It's a similar thing when we start to say, actually, the government should be able to control things and decide what happens in people's lives. I think we need to push back on the kind of education that we get in this society, where funding goes. Like, there are so many solutions that would actually help prevent people from being in these sorts of situations than not. Like, the United States could talk about mental health and emotional well-being. They could do PSAs all the time so that kids, when they're growing up, will realize that, oh, I'm emotionally dysregulated. Oh, I'm being triggered by something. Oh, there are these strategies in school that will teach me how to be a better person, so that that doesn't even become something that they're familiar with. Prevention is better than cure. And the United States often is just like reactive to the things that happen here. So, yeah, people are the product of their environment. But when we start really trying to say what a person should and shouldn't do with their body, it gets real dark real quick. And so I just wanted to make that point with the illusion of white supremacy, with eugenics, with classism, because I was even a part of Crissle's critique, like, you acting like a poor bitch in the Bronx. Like, it's just like very disturbing. I've read a lot of books on this topic. One of the ones that really helped me, because I, as a psychologist working like with the kids in these, I'm like, so much of this is preventable. Like, if people had resources, their kids, they wouldn't have to, not have to, right? It's really always a choice. But a woman who knows that she needs money will not have to do certain things to get money to then take care of her kid. Like, a lot of the things are so preventable. There's a book about why poor women have kids and why they have so many kids. Often women who have a lack of resources and finances often have a lot of kids. And what's the why behind it? I forget what the book name is, but you see the picture, right? That I think it's helpful if you actually want to understand and have empathy for people. Because otherwise, then you're just judging and gossiping and shaming women, and then making it harder for other women who are going through similar situations to ask for help. And I encourage people in their real life to show up for people, even if you don't agree with them. If they're part of your community and you say you care about the kids, I'm encouraging you to show up for them. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hype this video. I'm trying to, remember to say hype the video. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.